Big news today, Aston Martin announcing they will return to the top class of endurance racing in 2025. A racing prototype version of the Aston Martin Valkyrie road car will compete for top honours at Le Mans, partnering with the Heart of Racing team. They'll also run the car in every round of the World Endurance Championship and IMSA in North America. Well, to fill us in on the details, I'm delighted to welcome our authority on all things sports car racing, Gary Watkins. Good to see you. Big news for endurance racing. How excited are you about this announcement?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's colossal news. Massive. I'm very excited, A, because it's another manufacturer, but B, because it's Aston Martin. You know, Aston Martin is one of the great sports car brands, whether you're British or not, and it kind of completes the set for me. Yes, we've got Ferrari, we've got Porsche, Lamborghini are coming next year, and then the year after we're going to have Aston Martin. So it's a kind of full house, isn't it? And then add into that all those sort of great motorsport brands, not necessarily sports car manufacturers, but the likes of Toyota, BMW, and Alpine as well, you know, another great brand and part of the Renault group. So yeah, so it's like we've got everyone now.
What does it mean, the fact that they're not just coming back for Le Mans, but they've decided to run the full season of WEC and IMSA as well?
Well, the significance is that Aston is the first manufacturer of a Le Mans hypercar to commit to racing in IMSA. You're allowed to run both types of car in WEC and in IMSA. But so far, whereas in WEC, we have the Le Mans hypercars from Ferrari, Peugeot and Toyota going up against LMDHs, the Porsche, the Caddy. Over in America, so far, we've only had LMDHs, which are about 4 brands at the moment. So yes, we might see other LMHs in America soon, possibly Ferrari, hopefully Ferrari. But as we speak right now, the only firm commitment for an LMH to race in America is from Aston Martin. So that's the significant thing here.
What can you tell us about teams that run sports cars? Because you could say, well, Ferrari returned and won Le Mans, and some people would say, well, it was AF Corsa. And you could say, well, Aston are coming back. And you could say, well, it's Heart of Racing running the cars. How does that work? And how closely do these manufacturer names work with these teams that run the cars?
Well, Heart of Racing will be a works team in exactly the same way as AF Corsa are a works team. And let's not forget, Joest Audi, you know, one of the all-time great sports car teams. Joest partnered with Audi throughout its successful years at Le Mans. So, you know, these are hand-in-glove operations. Don't forget that, you know, factories don't always make the best racing teams. I think Ferdinand Piëch, who, you know, the architect of the Porsche 917 for the 1970 season, said that something like generals don't make the best soldiers or something like that, which is why they place the cars not with their own in-house team, but with the JW Automotive team and the Salzburg team. So there is a rich history of manufacturers working closely with sort of nominated teams who are their representatives. Heart of Racing, an American team, a new kid on the block. They're only started in 2019 for the 2020 season, and they've been racing in Aston Martin in the GTD class of the IMSA series, and they've won the title. They've also won the class at the Daytona 24 Hours. They've expanded from GTD into GTD Pro, and they've expanded further this year, in the middle of this year, from the Spa race to incorporate a WEC program. They stepped into the breach when Paul Dalla, the sort of racer and patron of the Northwest AMR team, decided that his business commitments were too much and he needed to stop racing. Heart of Racing stepped into the breach and effectively took over that entry. Now, the sort of patron of Heart of Racing is a guy called Gabe Newell, who is, I'm told, a sort of computer games tycoon guru, some people say. So he's obviously a wealthy guy with a love of motor racing who likes to do things a little bit differently, I'm told. So that's the sort of background of the team there.
So you and I spoke for the Autosport podcast when Ferrari announced they were returning. You were, at their big launch event. You spoke to the team, and I think we said at the time, or you said to me, like, this is proper. They mean business. Well, they only went and won Le Mans. Let's not get into the debate about balance of performance. But if you wanted to talk about the chances of Aston Martin coming back and having immediate success, how hard is it to come back in and immediately make your mark and win those big races?
Well, the point I'm going to make here is that Aston Martin won Le Mans in 1959. That's an awful long time ago. It was even before I was born. And there have been any number of attempts by Aston Martin or under the Aston banner to go back to Le Mans and try and recreate that victory. Now, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that this is the most coherent, proper program since 59. Well, actually, I don't need to stick my neck out because it is the most coherent and proper program since 59. We've had sort of bizarre things like John Surtees taking a couple of Lola T70s to Le Mans in 1967, the cars being slow on the straight and then blowing up. We had worthy, but not necessarily sort of front-running projects like the Nimrod from the early days of Group C in the early 80s. And then, of course, we had the gorgeous AMR Pro Drive Lola coupes with the big V12 Aston engine in the back that sort of punched above their weight. But were they really going to beat the Audi and Peugeot turbo diesels? No. But I think this is proper. Yes, of course, it is going to be hard because just look at the opposition, the depth of the opposition. So, we can't say, Aston are going to go to Le Mans and stroll away. It's going to be fierce competition. And of course, there's the BOP on top of that, which sort of makes it even closer, but on the other hand, gives everyone a chance.
So this announcement seems like it's been a long time coming, and different versions of the Valkyrie involved, the road car that some people may know. Well, it might not be quite as straightforward as simply taking that car and going racing with it. Can you explain for us what's under the skin of this Valkyrie and how the technicals have changed over the last, 3 or 4 years we've been hearing about this project?
Yeah, exactly. This project has been on the back burner for more than 3 years. Well, probably less than 3 years because obviously it's been rolling for a good 6 or whatever months now. But don't forget, at Le Mans in 2019, Aston announced that they were coming back to Le Mans in the top class in 2021 with a race version of the Valkyrie Hypercar, the Adrian Newey inspired sort of mega super sports car. Now, within 6 months of that, LMDH was announced. Aston said, our business case of selling cars is sort of been undermined. We're putting it on the back burner. Obviously, a lot was happening at Aston with sort of the ownership, with them going Formula One. And then we didn't really hear much about it for a while until sort of the back end of last year when there was talk from, Aston chairman Lawrence Stroll sort of hinting at it. Now, when they were coming originally, as I said, they were going to develop the car out of the Valkyrie road car on a sort of subset of the rules that allow you to do that. Fast forward 3 years, and they're actually developing the Valkyrie as a prototype to the sort of different strand of the LMH rules. And that's because all the initial development that was done prior to the decision to push it onto the back burner fed into a car known as the AMR Pro, which is the ultimate track day car. And it's a version of the Valkyrie that they say has LMP1 levels of performance. Now, because they have that car as the starting point, they're going to develop it as a prototype, which they say brings a number of opportunities and advantages. But one thing I should say, it's still going to be a non-hybrid, as was the case 3 years ago. So there's no energy retrieval system in there. So it's just going to be that amazing Cosworth developed 6.5 litre V12 engine, which I think will provide a great engine note amongst what are mostly turbos on the Hypercar and GTP grids.
Well, we saw Pierre Guidi and Collado and Giovinazzi on the top of the podium there at Le Mans, and I'm sure when Ferrari put the call in to say, hey, do you want to come and drive one of our cars? They were very happy to say yes. Any news yet? You are all over this news, had a full briefing from Aston Martin. Any word from them on possible potential driver lineups, past or present Formula One drivers that might want to get in on the action?
Well, that's a tantalising prospect, isn't it? Fernando Alonso racing for Aston Martin in Formula One. He's getting on a bit. He's passed the big 4-0. He can't go on forever. Well, I don't think so, or maybe he can. A couple of years from now, when this program kicks off in 2025, could he be part of it? Could he be part of it the year after? Or, I don't know. They're not saying. The only thing that they've said so far is look at Ferrari, look at Porsche. They've delved into their sort of roster of GT drivers and picked and promoted guys from that arena, and it's worked very well for them. Heart of Racing is saying, well, that's the starting point for us. And of course, Aston Martin have a deep pool of drivers, people like Nicky Thiem and Marco Sorensen, who won the GTE Pro title a few years ago, very capable drivers who, interestingly, have just been doing a little bit of prototypes recently, which may suggest that they want to put their hand up to drive this car.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of hands in the air. Now, the championships are in great health at the moment for anyone that's not been following. Toyota, Ferrari, Porsche, Cadillac, all there with BMW, Lamborghini, others joining over the next year or two, as you mentioned earlier on. What do you put this success down to?
Well, the different ways into the championship and the fact that the WEC and IMSA have been united, so a manufacturer can build one car for both championships. I think that is crucial. I think another thing is momentum. That's always important in motor racing, isn't it? A manufacturer sees a championship, or championships in this case, with lots of manufacturers participating, and it says we've got to be part of that. And the other thing is cost. Think back to the days of LMP1 and those sort of hybrid rocket ships from Audi, Porsche and Toyota. They were spending, upwards of 100 million, perhaps 200 million, according to the rumors. Now a manufacturer can come in, race for the same prizes at a fraction of the cost. How much, we don't know. But there are talk of budgets of 30 million or something like that. So, it's, to say cost effective may not be correct, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than it was back in the day. So I think there's a number of factors that have sort of combined to bring in all these manufacturers and create, and I'm going to say it again, this golden era.
Absolutely. You've said it many times, particularly at the centenary year of Le Mans this year, where, you and I joked that you've covered not all, but many of those Le Mans races. But hey, look, while I've got you today, I've got to pick your brains on this season of the World Endurance Championship. Bahrain is coming early November. You've been covering the sport, as I joked about, but longer than most. You've seen the highs, the lows, and everything in between. How does this season, this new era, rate in your eyes?
Well, it's been quite a strange one because we've sort of seen Toyota largely dominating, except at one race, except at the race that mattered, Le Mans, where they didn't dominate, but they were in the mix. And, in another set of circumstances, they could have beaten Ferrari. That's 100% the case. And, Le Mans was a very, very close race. Don't forget, all 5 of the major manufacturers in the hypercar category led the race. And I think the sleeper was Cadillac, which really could have had a good result there and challenged the top 2. So, yes, it's been a strange season. And yes, we should expect Toyota to remain at the top of the pecking order because it's sort of incumbent. It's been there racing in the championship since 2012. It's the reference, isn't it? And so for anyone, Ferrari included, to come in and expect to sort of dominate against Toyota, is not really the correct way of thinking about it.
Well, it's always great to have you on. Always good to see you, even if it is virtually this time. Last time you and I were together for a day at Brands Hatch. Thoroughly enjoyed that. We'll have to do that again very soon. Gary, thank you for joining us. What do you think about today's news? Let us know in the comments below. How excited are you about watching sports car racing in this golden era, as Gary describes it? And he would know better than most how good it is to watch at the minute. And who are your favourites? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know what's on your mind. If you're not subscribed yet, then hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up so we know you like this video and we can make more like it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.